When answering questions, there are a number of things that help make a good response. Make sure you read your numbers carefully off the graphs. Always be linking back to the context. Use specific quotes from the report to support your answer, and use common sense to comment on key features. Focus on specific claims being made and if the statistical process described in the reports supports the claim. A short, succinct, and well-supported answer is better than a lengthy, generic statement. And integrate statistical and contextual knowledge in your response. When looking at the report, there are a number of questions that are useful to think about. Is the report based on sound research? Find the original research article to determine this. Was it published in a reputable journal? Was it conducted by reputable researchers from a university or research institute, for example? Note, this can't always be done during the exam, but is worth doing when looking at articles that aren't in the exam. Identify the type of study undertaken. Was it a poll, survey, experiment, or observational study? Who funded the research? Did they have a vested interest in the outcome? For example, was it a drug company trying to compare their new drug over an existing treatment? Were there reliable data collection methods used? If data was collected from the past or people's memories, how was it accurately checked? Could confounding variables have changed over time? Who or what was studied? Was it rats, people, cells? It's really important that who is being studied actually is who we're reporting the results for. How are the participants selected? What measurements or questions were asked and how? Are the questions and responses provided? Are the measurements appropriate for the effect that is being observed? For example, is an IQ test an acceptable measure of intelligence? How were the measurements taken? Were they done by an interview, online, or a questionnaire? Could this have had an impact on the responses? Where and when were the measurements taken or questions asked? Sometimes if measurements are taken in an unfamiliar setting for the participant, atypical responses can be observed. Some measurements will vary according to the time they're taken, morning or evening, summer or winter, weekend or weekday. Is the size of the observed effect backed up with numbers or just described? Is a claim made that a drug A reduces blood pressure or that drug A reduces blood pressure by 15%? Make sure those numbers are there to back it up. Are there any confounding or lurking variables that should be considered? Have the results been extended inappropriately? Is there complete data? Was non-response or missing data a problem? Do the results make sense? Is there a scientific or biological reason to support the evidence? Is there an alternative explanation? Are the results convincing? Would the results persuade you or someone you know to modify or change their behaviour? What is your overall conclusion about the research findings? Justify why the study was good or why it was not. Do other studies reveal similar findings? And what further information about the study might be useful? It's worth thinking about all of these things when you're writing a response to a report.